The overall number of security incidents in Iraq has...
The general speaks. The whole world listens.
Après l'envoi de renforts ont été pour une large part atteints.
Next, on Global Pulse.
Outside the hearing room, dozens of camera crews camped out amid the marble columns, and U.S. TV networks carried the lengthy proceedings live, hour after hour.
Bearing the enormous responsibility of command, today General David Petraeus.
General Petraeus' assessment of the U.S. troop surge in Iraq provided an opportunity to broadcasters around the world to weigh in on America's role in Iraq. They told their viewers that 79% of Iraqis and 64% of Americans disapprove of the U.S. presence in Iraq. 68% of Americans trust the military more than Congress or the president. But 53% think General Petraeus will try to make the situation in Iraq look better than it really is. The BBC interviewed new U.S. recruits.
President Bush must be feeling pretty good about what he heard here today. The fact is that the precise nature of what's happening on the ground in Iraq is less important to him than the way the American public perceive it and the way American politicians will vote about it.
Military officers and experts now agree that this is not sustainable. Come next spring, they say, the number of troops in Iraq will have to start coming down, no matter what.
Nobody wants to go back, but I mean, we do what we have to do.
Al Jazeera English gave extra airtime to war protesters.
Please remove them.
Anti-war protesters at the congressional testimony of America's top commander in Iraq interrupted the general's request to keep most U.S. troops in Iraq until next summer, with cries for U.S. forces to be withdrawn immediately.
It is a failure of a policy. It is destructive. People are continuing to die.
It's all charades. It's all smoke screens. It's all trickery. It's all chicanery. The people are awake. We're not going to let it happen.
China's Asia Today focused on the Iraqi perspective.
Crowds of demonstrators marched across the country on Monday to protest U.S. raids on suspected militia leaders.
I don't think the Petraeus report will serve the interests of the Iraqi people. I don't think the U.S. troops will leave the country because they have a separate objective for being in Iraq. As far as we're concerned, we can't wait for the U.S. to leave.
Two Iranian news programs, the English Press TV and the Arabic Alalam, found many ways to criticize the U.S. in Iraq.
The Petraeus-Crocker report is biased. It's complementary to Bush's point of view. It also favors the Iraqi government, which failed on many accounts, in public service and in providing security.
Former U.S. envoy to Baghdad and current U.S. ambassador to the UN, Zalmay Khalilzad, had suggested that some friends of the United States, including Saudi Arabia, are pursuing destabilizing policies in Iraq. Iraqi officials and prominent clerics, including Ayatollah Sistani, have repeatedly pointed out that these groups and their supporters are destabilizing the country and fueling a Shia-Sunni and Shia-Shia war in Iraq.
The Democrats on the committee really weren't able to make a dent in the armor-plated optimism which came from the ambassador and the general as they sat here. And without that, there's no possibility of overturning President Bush's surge policy. The surge continues.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only US network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.